Have you ever wondered why it's so hard to truly understand someone? Every day we meet people who smile at us, laugh with us, and seem friendly and approachable. But deep down, we often wonder, who are they really? Are they showing their real selves, or is it just a mask? In a world where appearances often take center stage, it can feel like people are constantly playing roles, hiding their true character. But here's the good news. You don't need to be a psychologist or spend years studying human behavior to figure out someone's true character. There are simple, everyday clues you can pick up on that reveal who a person really is. You don't need fancy tools or deep knowledge, just a bit of awareness and a willingness to observe. By paying attention to two specific behaviors, you can learn more about someone's true self than any long conversation or fancy speech will ever tell you. Now, why does this matter? Understanding someone's character can help you build better relationships, avoid toxic people, and make smarter decisions about who you let into your life. It's not just about judging others. It's about protecting your peace, growing your emotional intelligence, and surrounding yourself with people who bring out the best in you. Let's face it, people are complicated. They don't walk around with signs that say, "This is who I am." Instead, their true nature is often hidden behind polite words, practiced smiles, or even silence. But while words can be controlled and appearances can be misleading, actions are harder to fake. It's in the small, seemingly insignificant actions that someone's true self is often revealed. Think about it. When you meet someone new, you might focus on what they say, how they look, or how they act when they're in the spotlight. But these things can be rehearsed. Someone can tell you all the right things, wear the best clothes, and charm a room full of people while still hiding who they truly are. So how do you see past the mask? How do you figure out if someone is genuine or just putting on a show? The answer lies in paying attention to the little things, specifically two behaviors that most people don't think about, but that speak volumes about a person's character. These behaviors are simple, but they hold the power to reveal whether someone is kind, reliable, and trustworthy, or whether they're someone you should be cautious around. Signal 1. How a person treats others, especially those who can't do anything for them. This behavior might seem minor, but it holds a mirror to a person's character. It shows us whether someone is genuinely kind or only behaves well when it benefits them. Think about this. We often interact with people who are in roles that don't hold much power. Waiters, cleaners, security guards, cashiers, or even strangers in public places. These interactions might seem insignificant, but they reveal a great deal about how someone values human beings. A person's treatment of those who can't offer anything in return is often the purest display of their humanity. Imagine you're at a restaurant. The food is delayed, and the waiter looks overwhelmed. What does the person at your table do? Do they patiently wait, showing empathy for the server's tough day? Or do they lash out, making snide comments or demanding to speak to the manager? This moment, while fleeting, tells you exactly who that person is when no one is watching. Why does this matter so much? Because kindness that comes without expectations is real kindness. When someone treats everyone with respect, whether it's the CEO of a company or a delivery person, they show that they value people for who they are, not for their status, wealth, or ability to give something back. Studies in psychology back this up. Social psychologists emphasize that people often behave their truest selves in unguarded moments, especially when dealing with individuals they perceive as unimportant. If someone is rude or dismissive toward others in these situations, it often stems from a need to feel superior. On the other hand, showing genuine kindness and respect reflects emotional maturity and security. Now, this doesn't mean you need to be overly analytical of everyone's behavior, but it does mean being mindful. Start noticing how people in your life treat those around them. How do they speak to the janitor at work? Do they acknowledge the receptionist? Are they patient with a stressed cashier during peak hours? These small interactions hold the truth about their values. Here's another example. Picture someone standing in line at a store. The person in front of them is struggling to count out coins to pay. How does the person behind them respond? Do they sigh loudly, roll their eyes, and complain to whoever will listen? Or do they offer to help, maybe even stepping in to cover the small difference? These moments seem insignificant in the grand scheme of things, but they reveal the essence of someone's personality. The way someone treats others is also an indicator of their emotional intelligence. People who are emotionally intelligent understand that kindness creates positive energy. They realize that how they treat others not only reflects on their character, but also influences how others perceive them. Someone who is consistently rude or dismissive will find it hard to build meaningful relationships because people remember how they were treated. Let's take it a step further. How someone treats others can also reveal how they'll treat you over time. In the beginning of any relationship, whether it's a friendship, a romance, or a business partnership, most people try to put their best foot forward. They're polite, attentive, and considerate. But if they treat others poorly, especially those who can't fight back, it's only a matter of time before they show that same side to you. A classic example is in romantic relationships. Have you ever heard someone say, "They're so nice to me, but they're rude to everyone else"? That's a huge red flag. If someone has the capacity to treat others poorly, their kindness to you might not be genuine, it might just be a performance. True kindness is consistent, regardless of the situation or who is involved. So, what should you look for? Start with the basics. Do they use polite language like please and thank you? Do they make eye contact and smile when speaking to others? Do they show patience in frustrating situations? Do they acknowledge and respect the efforts of others, even in small ways? These may seem like small details, but they reflect a mindset. A person who values others will naturally behave in a way that uplifts and respects them. Someone who feels the need to belittle or dominate others, even in subtle ways, is likely carrying insecurities or unresolved issues. It's also worth considering how someone reacts when they make a mistake involving others. Do they apologize and take responsibility, or do they double down, blame others, or act as though nothing happened? Owning up to a mistake, no matter how small, shows humility and respect for the other person's feelings. But here's something important. Don't just focus on observing others. Use these insights to reflect on your own behavior too. How do you treat people in your daily life? Are you polite to the waiter even when your order is wrong? Do you thank the delivery person who brings your package? Do you show patience to someone who's struggling with a task? These moments define who you are. If you find areas where you could improve, don't feel discouraged. Becoming more mindful of how you treat others is a sign of growth. Start small. Make it a habit to smile at strangers, thank people for their efforts, and be patient when things don't go as planned. These small acts of kindness create ripples that not only improve your relationships, but also inspire others to do the same. The first signal, how someone treats others, isn't just about spotting red flags in others. It's also a guide for how we can show up as better, kinder human beings. When we treat everyone with respect, regardless of their role in our lives, we create an environment of trust and positivity. This makes us better partners, friends, colleagues, and community members. Second signal, the importance of keeping promises. This behavior is one of the strongest indicators of personal integrity. While words are easy to say, actions are much harder to fake. When someone keeps their promises, no matter how big or small, it shows that they are reliable, trustworthy, and respectful of the people around them. Promises come in many forms. They can be as simple as agreeing to meet someone for coffee at a certain time, or as significant as making a long-term commitment in a relationship or professional setting. No matter the size of the promise, the principle remains the same. When you give your word, you're creating an expectation. Following through on that expectation is what builds trust. Imagine a friend promises to call you after work to discuss something important. You wait for their call, but it never comes. This might seem small, but it sends a message. It tells you that their words don't carry much weight, and over time, this can erode trust in the relationship. On the other hand, when someone makes even the smallest promise and follows through, it reinforces the idea that you can count on them. From a psychological standpoint, keeping promises strengthens bonds between people. When someone delivers on what they've said, it signals respect and consideration. It shows they value your time, your feelings, and your trust. Broken promises, however, do the opposite. They create disappointment, doubt, and even resentment. Over time, repeated instances of broken promises can destroy a relationship entirely. But why is keeping promises so difficult for some people? One reason is over-promising. Some individuals agree to things impulsively without fully thinking through whether they can deliver. They might have good intentions but lack the ability to manage their time or resources. Others might avoid confrontation and say yes when they don't actually mean it, leading to broken commitments down the line. This is why honesty is such an important part of promise keeping. Before making a commitment, it's essential to consider whether you can realistically fulfill it. Saying no or setting boundaries might feel uncomfortable in the moment, but it's far better than agreeing to something you can't deliver. When you're honest about your limits, you protect both your credibility and your relationships. Now, think about how keeping promises applies to different areas of life. In the workplace, for example, delivering on commitments builds a strong reputation. If a colleague says they'll complete a task by a certain deadline but repeatedly fails to do so, it undermines the team's trust in their reliability. Conversely, a co-worker who consistently follows through on their commitments becomes someone others can depend on, which is invaluable in professional settings. In personal relationships, keeping promises is equally critical. Trust is the foundation of any meaningful connection, and every broken promise chips away at that foundation. Whether it's something as small as showing up on time for a date, or as big as staying faithful in a long-term relationship, honoring commitments is what keeps relationships strong. There's also a deeper layer to promise keeping: self-respect. When you make a promise, you're not just making a commitment to someone else, you're also making a commitment to yourself. Following through on your promises strengthens your sense of integrity and boosts your self-esteem. On the other hand, failing to keep your word, even in small ways, can lead to feelings of guilt or frustration with yourself. For example, let's say you promise yourself you'll start waking up earlier to exercise. If you follow through, you'll feel accomplished and motivated to continue building healthy habits. But if you repeatedly break that promise to yourself, it can create a cycle of disappointment and self-doubt. Keeping promises to yourself is just as important as keeping them to others because it sets the tone for how you approach all areas of your life. So how can you tell if someone values promise keeping? Start by observing their behavior in everyday situations. Do they show up on time for meetings or appointments? Do they meet deadlines at work? When they say they'll do something, do they actually follow through? These small actions often provide the clearest picture of someone's reliability. Another important thing to watch for is how they handle situations where they can't keep a promise. For instance, if they miss an appointment or fail to meet a deadline, do they take responsibility and communicate openly? Or do they make excuses and try to avoid the subject? A person's response in these moments reveals a lot about their character. What makes these two behaviors so revealing is that they're difficult to fake consistently. While someone can put on a charming front in public or rehearse what they're going to say, their true nature often slips through in the way they act in unguarded moments. When someone doesn't think they're being judged, their authentic self tends to shine through. This is especially true in their treatment of people who can't benefit them and in their ability to keep promises. For example, think about someone who is always polite and respectful to authority figures or people they admire, but is rude or dismissive to waiters, janitors, or strangers. This inconsistency reveals that their politeness is situational, not genuine. Similarly, a person who makes promises only to break them repeatedly might be more concerned with appearing agreeable in the moment than actually honoring their commitments. By paying attention to these two signals, you can cut through superficial behavior and see what truly matters. These traits not only reveal how someone views others, but also provide insight into their values, priorities, and emotional maturity. If you found value in this video, like and share it to spread this message. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more content that helps you grow and connect in meaningful ways. Let's create a world where kindness, respect, and integrity are the norms. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.